Now for the show that's truly too hot to handle. It's The Melting Pat, and it starts right now.
You're listening to The Melting Pat. Here's your host, Pat Johnson.
Well, thank you, Jerome. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show, The Melting Pat, the next level. Now, oh, man, what are we doing? Oh, old habits die hard. The Melting Pat, how are you? My name is Pat. Look, here's the thing. I branded this as a Next Level Network show for a long time after the Next Level Network no longer existed. And now, for sure, it no longer exists. And here I am. Oh, man. Here I am. Still throwing it out there. There you go. No, the Next Level Network is not a thing anymore. This is just the Melting Pat. I have all the control over this now, which is good or bad. No, it's good. It wasn't for me financially a few weeks ago, but now I think we're good. Oh, man. That was funny. All right, there you go. Welcome to the show. My name is Pat. Oh, if you're coming from... Who sent me that post? Hold on one second. So nobody sent me the post, but my smoking hot wife tagged me in a comment on Instagram on a post by Jenny_O'Keefe. That's JENNY_OKEEFE. And Jenny shared a post that was a bunch of memes, or memes, if you prefer. And one of them was, if I heard the Super Mario coin sound effect after I did a task, I'd get a lot more done. And so my wife said, hey, my husband does a podcast where he uses the coin sound to censor things. So if you're coming over from that post, hi, I'm Pat. How the are you? What's going on? Hope you're having a great day. There you go. That's, I realized the last couple of weeks, because I do keep account of the coins, by the way, just so I know when to do a one-up sound. And yes, every 100 coins, I do put a one-up sound in. And which sound, like, as I'm talking it out, it sounds like, why do I do this? It sounds ridiculous. And I honestly do not remember why I thought of it, but I can tell you it was in like 2016. I was on the phone with my sister, and I just randomly thought, I'm going to use a Super Mario coin sound effect to censor curse words. And I think that'd be funny. So now, because before, I would just not say them, or I would try my best to not say them because I came from live radio, and I had to be as clean as could be. And so I decided, let's say them, but instead, let's keep the show family friendly and use the coin to censor them. So, and everyone who's come on the show, when I mentioned that at the top of the interview or whatever, they all love it. And so it's a really great idea that I just randomly came up with. And I love that people think of it and tag me in those things. Just like when you tag me in your hot dog sandwich posts, which are coming because it's summer, or summer's coming. So please tag me in all those debates. It's still not a sandwich, but I love hearing all of the opinions, however wrong they might be. So anyway, if you're coming from that post, thank you very much. So that's what it sounds like when I when I use the coin sound to censor stuff. All right, there we go. Thank you. So if you came over from that, thank you very much. If you want to stick around, great. I'd love to have you. If not, you know what? That's fine too. Today on the show, we're talking video games. I asked you a question. No, I wanted to know which video games you would recommend to people who don't usually play games. And a lot of you answered, and that's don't usually play games. There you go. And a lot of you shared some good picks. I'm going to do a lot of research on this. So the show might be a little later for patrons. Let me put it that way. Patreon.com/themeltingpat. You get an uncensored version of the show. It might come out a little bit later than usual because I'm going to do a lot of work for this. And it's already Wednesday. So my bad. But anyway, that's the first thing. We're also going to talk about if I would use an AI chatbot because somebody brought it up and I said, oh, that might be cool. So we'll talk about that. Someone asked about the potential of a WWE off-season. And so I walked through what that could look like. And I also talked about, what are we talking about today? Oh, I saw a story about someone who sold a huge collection of Nintendo Amiibo figurines directly to GameStop. And I like the story, but a lot of people were like, man, you could have made more money. So we'll talk about that. And that will be that for the show. But before we get to all of those things, again, thank you for coming. I hope you're having a lovely time doing whatever and whenever it is that you're doing it. Thanks for making me a part of it. Before we get to all the things, we have a brand new song from our friends Glimmers, and they released this one on May 2nd. So we are right in, oh no, we're going to miss the window. Oh man. damn it. So generally speaking, there is a release window is a week, 7 days. And in that time is when the plays matter more. They can get on the new and featured playlists on certain streaming services. And so generally the listens and the downloads and the streams and the whatnot are really important in that first 7 days. So unfortunately, we're going to miss it because bands don't release music on Tuesdays anymore, damn it, which I never think about. Oh, man. All right. I could really put the show out on Fridays and no one would care. But let me know. You know what? Let me know. If you want me to put the show out on Fridays instead, you let me know, and I'll do that for you. If not, then we'll keep doing Saturdays. It's been 530 episodes, so whatever. Anyway, we'll put that up for feedback, and we'll see what we get. It doesn't really matter to me, but I do like the Saturday release, though. It's fun. Nice way to start your weekend. Anyway, Pat, get to the song. You're right. Sorry, Glimmers. Our dear friends with a new song, glimmersband.com for more from them. This is their latest. It is called Little Life. It's the Melting Pat. We're coming right back.
Set the scene, turn the page. They say that all the world's a stage, so don't make me dance alone. Clean the slate from the start, 'cause all I want's to play the part of the girl you're taking home. So tell me about this little life. Can we make it last all night? I want it all, just like the movies. You wear me down, just how it should be. So tell me, what am I to do when I miss my every cue? Faded hearts are messy things, but you're my favorite ending. Hold my breath, count to 10, 'cause you're my walking oxygen. I need you more than you know. Read your lines and not so fast. Can we make this moment last when there's so much more to go? So tell me about this little life. Can we make it last all night? I want it all, just like the movies. You wear me down, just how it should be. So tell me, what am I to do when I miss my every cue? Faded hearts are messy things, but you're my favorite ending. Oh, you were everything I ever wanted. Oh, the thought of losing us would leave me haunted. Oh, crash or burn for you, there's no in between. So set the scene. So tell me about this little life. Can we make it last all night? I want it all, just like the movies. You wear me down, just how it should be. So tell me, what am I to do when all I think about is you? Faded hearts are messy things, but you're my favorite ending. Oh, you're my favorite ending. Yeah, you're my favorite ending.
And there you have it, our dear friends Glimmers. That's their latest. It's called Little Life. Little Life, that is. You can find more from them at glimmersband.com. The Melting Pat, we are back. I was running out of breath on that one. I got to do more cardio. But now that's a mouth riff, though. That is a mouth riffable thing. There, that's better. Just pretend I did that 3 seconds ago or whatever, and we're going to be fine. So Glimmers Band. Oh, this is why Glimmers is never coming on the show. They're not going to do that because they're going to go, what is this guy talking about? I don't know. Anyway, glimmersband.com for more from them. glimmersband.com. Did I get that right? Glimmers. You know how to spell glimmers, don't you? Damn it, Pat, just read it again. All right, GLIMMERS band, BAND.com. There you go. We handled our business. Thank you, Glimmers. Kick some ass on the tour. By the way, let's let you know where they're coming. So they're going to be starting May 29th. They are on the Sticky Sweet Tour. They're going to be in Nashville, Atlanta, Richmond, Raleigh. It's Raleigh, right? Raleigh, North Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee, Columbia, Orlando, Tampa, Pensacola. Oh, how about that? San Antonio, Dallas, Oklahoma City, North Kansas City, and St. Louis. That tour, as far as their website says, runs from May 29th, or at least this leg of the tour runs from May 29 through June 15th. So there you go. There are all the cities. Go to glimmersband.com, click on tour dates. You can get your tickets there. Tell them Pat said hello, or don't. Do whatever you want to do. But if you do go, if you do hear this and go, oh man, I'm in one of those cities, I'm going to go see Glimmers, then definitely tell them, you know what, yeah, you should. If you go on tour, if you go see them on tour, go tell them Pat said hi, and they'll go, that guy? I think I remember that guy. And then that'll be that. There you go. So again, that's brand new from our friends Glimmers, Little Life. Go get it where you get your songs. Link to it will be in the show notes. As far as I know, as far as I can do, we'll do our best. Okay? It's a good one, man. I'm going to be thinking about that for days. That is a good riff. All right. Pat, are you going to take a break? I am. I like this idea of like the song is its own part of the show. Like it's the intro and then the song. And then that's like we take a break because we signify that the song is important enough to be its own segment of the show. Does that make sense? No? Well, I'm going to do it anyway, so it's fine. Thank you, Glimmers. Kick some ass on the tour. Glimmersband.com, everyone else, for more from them. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to answer a question that I had for you, or where I'm going to read your answers to my question about video games you would recommend to people who don't usually play. So we'll do that right after this.
Hey, this is Jason Didner, Jersey Rock with Jersey humor and heart, and you're feeling the heat of the melting pat.
Thank you, Jason. We are back. Jason, going off script. Oh, remind me. I got to email him. All right, this is me, also reminding Jason that I have to email him. Okay, there we go. Now it's on the show. Now I won't forget. I'm going to forget. But it's on the show, so I'll listen to it again later. All right, anyway. This week, I had a question for you. I know it's been a while since I have asked you a question. And it's really because I haven't had a lot of time to get the answers. And I have to decide when during the week, or maybe even the week before, to post the questions. So we'll get on that. We'll figure out a system. Because I like to have the show recorded by like Tuesday for the most part, just so I have time to edit. So we'll see. Anyway, Pat, shut up. Do the thing. All right. I had a question for you this week, and thank you for all of your answers. What is the best video game you can recommend for people who don't really play video games? And I thought about this because I don't know why I was thinking about, parties where, because we had a party when we moved in to this house. We had a party, we had people over, and we have the N64. And so I thought, okay, which games would people still play even if they don't really play games? So like, I'm not going to do a sports game, because if you don't like sports or sports games, then you're going to be like, oh, that's dumb. So we did Super Smash Brothers, WWF No Mercy, or WrestleMania 2000, or all of the above. And, what was the other one? Oh, GoldenEye. And Mario Kart, of course. We threw that in as well. So games that anybody, even if you don't play, like my wife, for example, who does not play games, anybody can pick it up and play. Or if you're like, hey, I want to play a game, and I can ask her, hey, do you want to play a game? Hey, do you want to play a game? Usually she says no. But if she says yes, then we'll play Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur, or that's really it. If she plays games at all, it's a fighting game. But also, I really wanted to stream Super Mario 64, and there's a Lord of the Rings game that came out on, I don't know, PS2 or something, and I wanted to play that because she loves Lord of the Rings, and I want to see her stream and see if she can do it. That's what I want. So tell her that you want her to do that, okay? All right, thanks. Anyway, which games would you recommend, or best video games you can recommend for people who don't really play games? So thank you again for all your answers. Kenny's one of our patrons. Thank you, my friend. Depends on the person, but probably Mario Kart 64. Yeah, solid choice. And I think this is going to come up a lot. Well, I know it is it's the barrier of entry has to be really low. So anybody can pick up Mario Kart 64 and like, okay, how do I make the car go? Okay, this button, how do I do this? That button, boom, done. It's like 4 buttons that you really have to use. And like if you're just playing for fun, just not really caring, say, hey, I want to play, let me jump in. And so, yeah, the game being really easy is, I think, a prerequisite for this question, which I didn't really mention, but I think a lot of you jumped on that anyway. Kenny also said, thank goodness you're here is good for being short, simple, and hilarious. And if you want to know what that's about, the description reads, an absurd comedy slap-former set in the bizarre northern English town of Barnsworth. As a traveling salesman, take the time to see the sights, meet the locals who are very eager to give you a series of increasingly odd jobs. And I did check out the trailer for this, and first of all, not for kids. Second of all, looks delightful. So, Kenny, thank you for that. I'm going to check that out. I don't have new game money right now, but when I do, I'm going to check that out because I've heard Kenny talk about that before. And I've had it in the back of my mind, and now you've brought it back to the front when I don't have money to buy new games. Thanks, Kenny. No, really, thank you for answering. Our boy Dave, our friend Dave from 12 Days in June, we'll hear from him later, sort of. Well, no, we'll hear his voice. He's not like joining the show. Anyway, Pat, can you just read the thing? Yeah, all right. This is why I don't do this anymore. When I was younger and working in game stores, I used to always recommend Tetris. Nowadays, I think Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley is a great place to start casually. Maybe Mario Kart. Games that have a high fun factor, but a very low barrier for entry. See, there you go. There you go. First of all, Mario Kart. Very easy to get into. And Stardew Valley, if you don't know, is I think technically it's a farming simulator. You create your own community on a farm. I've seen a lot of people stream it. And actually one time in my buddy Doug's streams, Almost Better Than Silence, I made up a bunch of spicy backstories for everybody. Not spicy, but just, based on the character names and what they looked like, I just made up backstories. And I remember, so like most people were like, oh, look at this. Like, oh, that's fun. And someone in chat, I said something about, I don't know, I think I called somebody like a lady of the night or something like that. And someone in the chat got very upset with me. So if you're listening to this, my bad. If you remember this, my bad. I've never played the game. I was like, oh, this could be a funny thing. And it was funny to me. And Doug enjoyed it too. So my bad. Just the random memory that I had when I thought about Stardew Valley. But yeah, I have seen people stream that. And I would think if you don't care for the rigors of being super competitive in a video game, then I think a casual game like that is really a good starting point. I've also played a game called A Short Hike where you play as a penguin and you have to travel this beautifully, I can't think of the word. The game looks really great. The graphics are really great and it's really fun. I mean, great's strong, but the game looks nice. How's that? Geez, we're having a tough time already. We're only two answers in. Yeah, I'd recommend A Short Hike, which is kind of similar. I don't want to say similar style because they're not the same kind of game at all, but it's a game where you could just jump right in and not have to learn too much about how to play, not have to think too much. So there you go. Also, Also, Animal Crossing. I've never played this, but I've seen a lot of people play it. You basically create your own island community, and you can travel to your friends' islands and give them stuff, and they can give you stuff, and you can dress up your people in fun outfits and things like that. So yeah, people love that. I would say if you just want a quick, you're a casual thing, just a quick little, hey, let's check on what's going on over here, not really have to do a ton, then I would say Animal Crossing is a good choice. Thank you, Dave. Sorry it took me so long to reach your goddamn answer. Taylor says It Takes Two or Hogwarts Legacy. I have a question about the second one first, because I don't know what Hogwarts Legacy is. I mean, I know it's a Harry Potter game, but does someone have to know, Taylor, if you're listening, or anybody else, does someone have to know about Harry Potter to enjoy that? Or is it a game where you can jump in and be like, okay, like I know what Harry Potter is, but I don't know a lot of the lore, then am I still going to have fun? Like, are they still going to have fun with the game if they don't know Harry Potter? Let me know. I don't know anything about, I know a little, but I don't know a ton about Harry Potter and what's going on. So somebody let me know. Never played it, obviously. But It Takes Two. So you play as it's a 2-person co-op game. You are a pair of parents who are getting divorced, and your daughter creates these dolls, which you turn into because she wants you to get back together. And it's a split screen platformer, and you have to work together. And depending on which character you choose, the mom or the dad, your abilities change. The abilities that you can gain in the game while you're playing, they change, the things you can do. And so that, like, I watched some gameplay of this, it looks wild. And I think if you have a friend and you are able to get this rolling with another person with a co-op, this could be really fun. So if anybody wants to buy me this and play together, we can do that. So, yeah, good pick. I think if you don't really play games, I think It Takes Two would be one you could do, because it's a lot of just running and jumping and pressing buttons and throwing stuff. And that's, I think, easy enough to get into. And there you go. I think that's why that's a good pick for this question. All right, Liz says Portal 1 and 2, the only video games ever that I was able to play. Not sure if it's because I like puzzles or because I didn't really feel like I was under a crazy time crunch throughout the majority of it, / being chased by people, etc. But I was able to finish both games. I've tried to play other games and I am absolutely horrible at it, like really bad. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Look, not everybody's a gamer, and that's okay. I do remember, funnily enough, Liz and I went to college together, and I remember she and I texting about Portal in like 2010. I don't remember why we were talking about it, but when she said this, I was like, oh yeah, we've had this conversation. And I remember just texting about that and something else. So that was a nice memory to look back on. Thank you, my friend. Portal, by the way, those games are nuts. And I've played the first one. I think at this point, whatever's going on with my brain, I can't do first-person stuff, really. GoldenEye and Perfect Dark are like the only ones. But they're first-person puzzle games. So you have a gun, a portal gun. You shoot it at walls or objects, and you create portals to move from one spot to another and or move objects from one end to another. So you're standing on the ground, and you shoot your gun at one end, and it creates a portal. And you go and turn somewhere else and shoot another portal at another wall, and then you walk through and you end up where you shot the second portal. So there you go. Does that make sense? Makes sense. I remember it being really challenging, but the base concept of the game is easy enough for a non-gamer to pick up. So I like that pick. And once again, thank you for the memory, my friend. All right. Jen says for solo play, Super Mario Bros. 3, and for multiple players, Mario Kart. There you go. Super Mario 3 is probably the best one, right, of those older games. And it's because there's a lot to do, but it's also, the first Super Mario game is going to come up in a minute. And it's the same. It's like, you move with this, you jump with A, you run faster with B, you throw stuff, right? And there are more power-ups in Super Mario 3. The raccoon leaf, you can fly. The hammer suit, you can throw hammers. The fireball thing, obviously, you shoot fireballs. It's great. The frog suit, you can swim. It's fantastic. And there's just so much to do. And Super Mario 3 is awesome. And so, yeah, I would recommend that. It's easy to get into. It is challenging, but I think even if you don't play games, you can have a ton of fun with that. And yeah, Mario Kart, as we've discussed, is an easy one for everybody to get into. And especially because Mario Kart is, you can have 4 players at a time on one screen. And so you have that kind of camaraderie. Camaraderie, is that how you say that? I can't speak. So you have that aspect to it, and that can be fun. Also, don't watch screens when you're doing multiplayer. How about that? I wrote about that years ago, and people still find it and get mad. So I'll share it again, and I want some more angry letters. That'd be great. All right, Ian from Moving Forward Films, who was on the show Ian, when were you on the show? November? I don't know. He says, I'm not a video game person, but I'm obsessed with Resident Evil 4. Very random. First thing I have to say, no shade to Ian, but every time I hear someone say I'm not a whatever person, I think of George Carlin saying this.
Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm a gun person.
When he's talking about the NRA for the patrons. Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm a gun person. Or if I have to delete that later. But I always think of that when someone says, oh, I'm not a this person. Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm a gun person. That's just me. That's a me thing. And Resident Evil 4. I've played one Resident Evil game. It was Resident Evil 2 on N64. And I hated the controls so much I never played it again. Like, I've seen people play it. I watched a playthrough of it, and the story is really cool, and the game looks really good, but the controls were not for me. So I hope that they fixed that in the later editions. Yeah, I absolutely hated it. It's a third person, at least Resident Evil 2 was a third person adventure game, and I hope that the controls are better in 4. So Ian, let me know your favorite part of Resident Evil 4. How many times have you played it? How many times have you beaten it? And what's your favorite, I don't know, weapon or power up or pickup or something like that? Or no, your favorite location as well. Let me know. I'm not familiar with the game, but if you're excited about it, I will look into it. Sound good? Great. Okay, Ruby Bones. I don't know who runs the Ruby Bones, our dear friends. I don't know who runs their social media account, but they said Night in the Woods, maybe? They said it as a question. All right, Night in the Woods is an adventure game, and it reminds me, like the way it's set up, I haven't played it, but the way it's set up reminds me of Guacamelee, where you travel to different towns, you talk to a lot of people, and you go through challenges that are set out based on those maps. And so I assume there are no wrestling moves in Night in the Woods. Maybe there are, but it looks like something I would be into. And if it's the same type of game that I'm thinking of, then this would be really good for a non-gamer because it seems like it'd be very easy to get down the concept and then you get to explore and not have to worry about super challenges. Does that make sense? So I like that. I'm going to check that out too, by the way. So thank you, my friends, for that. All right, we got a couple from Threads. Board Gamer PIP says Lego Batman 2. I'm in. I love that game. I'm going to add Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Jurassic World to that list as well, because those Lego games, if you're a fan of the franchises, you basically play through the movies. Lego Batman's a little different, but if you're a fan of Jurassic Park, Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter one's really good too. But Lego games in general are fantastic and easy for anybody to pick up and just be like, all right, what do we do? Oh, we go here, we do this, we build this with Legos, we get around this guy, and it's really fun. So great pick. Thank you very much. All right, Izzy17P says, I'm not a gamer, but my game of choice is the Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter style games. They're generally minimal time investment games. Yeah, that one, button mashers like that, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, stuff like that, are easy for someone who doesn't play. Oh, what do? I'll just mash these buttons, move forward. Like you can do combos if you want to look them up, but to just play randomly with your buddies, just bam, 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 and just hope that you mash your buttons faster than anybody else. So there you go. Emily Gates Music says Animal Crossing, definitely. Anything that's a sandbox like Minecraft or Terraria, Mario games as well. So a lot of good choices there. Minecraft, I'm not super familiar with, but I understand the concept. So it's world builder. I'm surprised. Speaking of world building, nobody mentioned SimCity. I feel like that would be good, or like the Roller Coaster Tycoon games, stuff like that, where you're building and maintaining and creating a world or an amusement park or whatever. I feel like that's a good game for like a non-gamer to do because you still have things to do, but it's not like there's not a competitive edge to it. So I like that. All right. Thank you, new friends from Threads. Lockjaw says, was just thinking you need to bring back question of the week. Thanks, man. See? You're welcome. You're welcome. As for an answer, I don't know. You're looking for proper video games, or probably the answer is one of the many dozens of random puzzle slash block matching or word game apps, or solitaire. And then Lockjaw came back. So I was kind of thinking console, but I guess, solitaire would work. Those block matching, like Candy Crush, those games, they would work too. But Lockjaw came back later and said, I'll go with Wii Sports. Final answer. That's a great pick. Because, hey, we're playing some baseball. Bang. Boom. How do I do this? Hold it like a bat. Flick the wrist. Right? How do I do the golf? Hold it like a golf club. Flick your wrist. Wham. Done. How do we do boxing? Hold them up. Hold up the Wii mote and the nunchuck thing, whatever, and just go ba 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 ba. Right? What's the other one? Bowling? Oh yeah, bowling. Hold it up like you're holding a bowling ball. Wah-ha! Don't let go of the controller. Don't throw it. Don't be a dunce. So yeah, Wii Sports, perfect. Love it. Thank you, my friend, for giving me a lot of answers. I appreciate that. MAG says it'd have to be something fairly simple so they're not overwhelmed by mechanics or lore or what have you. I'd say either Minecraft, Among Us, or anything from the Jackbox party packs. Now, if I remember correctly, Jackbox party games are like trivia, or, you draw this and we have to guess what it is, or, I give you something to draw and then we vote on the best one, stuff like that. Am I right on that? Sorry, I didn't look it up, but if it's what I'm thinking of, then yeah, that would work. Among Us could work, although I haven't played Among Us in a while. Once they got rid of the text box or the text chatting and turned it to like a wheel that you spin with your pre-selected answers. Now look, I know why they did it because people were getting real racist and rude in the chat. But what happens is if you're not fast enough picking your answer on the wheel, people think that you're the imposter and throw you out of the game. So that was the end of it for me. But yeah, another pick for Minecraft. I feel like that's a good, like these games that kids go crazy for. Minecraft, Roblox, anyway, Roblox, Minecraft, stuff like that. That could work. Although that Roblox isn't similar at all. It's blah, blah, blah. All right. I don't know, man. My kid's too young for that stuff. So I'll let you know in a couple years. All right. Smelly Meatball says the first Super Mario Brothers game. See, I told you it would come up. Simple enough. Anyone can play without needing instructions. Besides knowing A jumps, B shoots fireballs when you grab the fire flower, and makes you run faster when held. There you go. See? Perfect. Right to the point. Boom. Done. Thank you very much for that, my friend. And Drave says, something easily accessible to most. Mario Kart is a solid answer. You can do decently well without knowing the starting line, boost, and drifts. I wouldn't dare throw someone into multiplayer online Mario Kart, though. That's a vicious crowd. I wouldn't throw anyone into online play for most things because it can be a little rough. It can be a little bit rough. I want to ask, though, I haven't played online Nintendo stuff in a very long time, if ever, maybe. I don't know. Is there voice chat in Nintendo Online? Let me know, because that makes it so much worse. He also says the new Super Mario Brothers on Wii would be decent. Basic Mario stuff with a few fun things thrown in there, modern graphics and fun sounds. I can agree with that. That one is it's solid, it's fun, it's easy to pick up and get into. And Super Mario Brothers. Most people know the deal, know the characters, and can have a lot of fun handling that. So, 2 great picks for you. And Drave also said, while we're on the topic, though, if you fools are skipping out on Declare Obscure Expedition 33 RPG, you're missing out on something truly special. I didn't see any trailers, no real online hype, just a few trailers on the Xbox store. I figured I'd give it a spin because it looked decent, but I never envisioned it being as great as it is. This can easily be Game of the Year, especially with Grand Theft Auto not coming out until next year. And I've seen Drave talk about this. I've seen other people talk about this. And it looks really cool. So I decided, hey, I'll watch the trailer. And you are right. It looks amazing. And the description of the game from the game website is once a year, the paintress awakens to inscribe her cursed number on the monolith. And everyone of that age vanishes, turning to smoke, fading into nothing. Each year, the number decreases, erasing more lives. Soon she will mark 33. When she does, we will embark on our final mission to destroy the paintress and end her deadly cycle for good. And so I read that, and then I thought, okay, I'm already interested. And based on the hype from people I know, people are excited about this. I'm like, okay, getting more interested in this. And I watched the trailer, and visually, this looks amazing. And I feel like this would be one where it's not for a casual gamer, I don't think. But if you're into RPGs, role-playing games, then this could be one for you. And I'm excited to, at some point, play this game. I don't have new game money right now. But if I did, I'd be playing this. So yeah, very excited. Wanted to throw that in. Not directly related to the question, but Drave was excited about it. So I figured, hey, let's mention it. And if any of you want to play that, then go right ahead. The link to that will be in the show notes. Thank you, my friend. All right. Thank you, my friend. Clockshot. I don't know why I sounded mad at you. Clockshot says Tetris for a puzzler and also the original Super Mario Brothers. See, Tetris is a good one because everyone can figure out what to do, right? The pieces come down, you line them up on the bottom on the screen, and you clear the lines as you go, right? It gets faster, the colors change, the music gets faster, the music changes. My dad was a big Tetris guy, and my mom liked a Tetris clone, Dr. Mario, where, I mean, clone is maybe the wrong word, but Tetris adjacent Dr. Mario, where Dr. Mario is off on the side and the viruses are on the screen and you throw the pills at them and you have to match the colors to the viruses and you get three colors on top and you clear the viruses. So like if you have a yellow virus on the screen, you throw a yellow pill straight up and down, that's 2, and then get another piece, get another third yellow piece on there. That's 3, clear the virus, clear the screen, make everybody healthy, And it's Dr. Mario. Yeah, you know that one, right? No? All right, I tried. Sorry, Mom. I went for it. And did it work? I don't know. But Tetris is solid. Yeah, for people who don't play games, Tetris is good. And Super Mario Brothers works out. And finally, Jill says Mortal Kombat. And then she called me a dirty name. Which I will not repeat. But then we were talking about it. It was funny. So I shared this on Instagram, and she was literally right next to me when she said it out loud. And I said, hey, send it to the thing so I don't forget, because I need to see it in writing. And then she called me a bad name. And then we started talking about other games I mentioned earlier. Yeah, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken. She actually really likes Soul Calibur. So I would throw that in for a non-gamer, and Jill doesn't like video games at all. So, yeah, fighting games, button mashers. If you want to be good at them, you got to learn some combos and stuff, I guess. But if you just want to jump in and you're hanging out with your buddies one day and you're like, hey, let's play a game together, fighting game will work. That'll do it. You don't want to do like a sports game or something that has super complex controls for people who don't play video games. Because they're going to be like, yeah, I don't care that much about this. So you got to go fighting game, racing game will work. Mario Kart, Cruising USA. What else am I missing? I think Fall Guys would be good. I mean, it's online, so it's a little bit, little different, a little more competitive. But I think in terms of the ease of the controls and figuring out how to do it, you jump, you spin around or whatever you do in Fall Guys, I think that would work. Am I missing any? I don't think so. But yeah, Mario Brothers is good. Mario Kart works. Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur. Any other big ones that we missed? I don't think so. Tetris works. But I'm surprised that SimCity didn't get a mention. But yeah, Mario Kart got a couple of mentions. I think that's... and GoldenEye. I think GoldenEye would be good because, how do I play? Move the joystick, Z to shoot. There you go. Aim with R and move the stick and you're good. And just don't get shot. Right? There you go. Very American way to end the segment. So, I think, GoldenEye would work. And any fighting game, pretty much. There you go. So thank you very much for all of your answers. This was a lot of fun. Again, I did more research for this than although apparently I didn't do enough because I didn't look up Resident Evil 4. So sorry about that, Ian. I will look into that soon. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if I missed one or if you think some of these shouldn't be on the list. Let me know that too. All right. But for now, we'll take a break. We will come back and we got a story about someone who sold their Amiibo collection. And of course, a bunch of weirdos got upset about it. So we'll talk about the whole thing right after this.
Hey, this is Jim from Prime Birds, and you are listening to The Melting Pat.
Well, thank you, Jim. There we go. We are back. That was super fun. That was a really fun segment. So thank you all for your answers on video games that you'd recommend to people who don't really play games. That was a lot of fun to put together. And I think I did more research for that than I've done for any other segment on this show. Maybe on this episode. But I have another video game thing to talk to you about. And I saw this. It was weird. GameStop actually posted this. So a college student sold their Amiibo collection to GameStop. And if you don't know, an Amiibo is a little figurine. I have 3 of them, actually. And they were meant to, they're little figurines. They stand on little pedestals. And there are hundreds of these things. I have 3 of them. I bought them because they look cool. And what they're meant to do is give you, they came out, I guess, with the 3DS or the Nintendo DS or something like that. And so the DS has like a reader on it where you put the little bottom of the thing on the screen and it creates some kind of new option in the game. Like the one I have Squirtle, the Pokemon, Ganondorf from Legend of Zelda, and Samus from Metroid. And the only one that actually worked with the game I have is Samus, because you put it on the thing with the, what was the game? Metroid, Samus Returns, Metroid 2, whatever it was. I bought that years ago. And if you put the little Amiibo figurine on the touchscreen of the DS, it opens a new version of the game, or it starts you with a bonus or something like that, whatever it was. Again, I bought them because they looked cool and not because I wanted to use them for their functionality. But that's kind of what those are. So you use them for whatever the games are. Or you just collect them because they look awesome. And there were hundreds of these things. And this person dropped them off. They went to GameStop and said, hey, I have all these amiibos. And there were, like, it took up the entire, like, back counter at the store. There were hundreds. And the receipt was a few feet long. And so the person was like, yeah, I don't have the room. I'm in college. I'm traveling. I don't have room to store these anymore. I just need to get rid of them, which is what happens sometimes when you have a thing you want to sell. Because a lot of the comments were, oh, you could have made so much more money on eBay or wherever. And that's probably true because they made $1,300, $1,340 to be exact. So they paid them all. So GameStop paid for all of those. And then they'll sell them for a markup and they'll make more money. But the person paid off their Switch 2 pre-order. So they bought their Nintendo, basically bought or reserved a Nintendo Switch 2 and then bought some other stuff. So they had a problem where, well, I guess they had kind of two problems where they had no room to store all these amiibos anymore, all these figurines. And they're moving around a lot, so they didn't want to transport them. And they also wanted a Nintendo Switch 2. And that's a Nintendo Switch number 2, not Nintendo Switch also, just in case. The next console is called the Nintendo Switch in the number 2. There you go. In case anybody doesn't know, that's that. So the person was like, yeah, I probably could have made more money on eBay, but then you have to, because you're probably not going to sell the entire set to one person on eBay. And then even if you do, you have to pack them all up, you have to ship them, and that's going to cost you money. And so that's going to eat into your cost, and that's going to eat into your profit, rather. And then you have to actually go to the post office and go do that thing and stand in that line and do all that stuff. And your time is valuable too. We've talked about this before. I try to say this and that at the same time. But we talked about valuing your time. Even if you're spending the money, like when I have a repair, I would rather pay someone who knows what they're doing to do it instead of wasting the time and energy to do it myself. So your time is also valuable. So you want to take that into account. And this is going to sound strange saying it this way. The goal of every sale is not to make money. Or not to make, that sounds dumb. Let me phrase it this way. The goal of every sale is not to make the most money possible. Sometimes you are selling for convenience. For example, if you're moving or traveling and don't have the room for the stuff, that means you also don't have room to wait to store it, to wait for someone to buy them all on eBay. And because they're probably not buying all of them at once. And then you got to do all that work that I just mentioned, right? And so the timing of it is one factor. The space is the other factor. And the fact that you could go into one spot, GameStop, and sell all of these figures at one time and get your money and get, the things that you want taken care of, that's why you would do this. So all the comments, oh, you could have made more money on eBay. Like, yeah, dude, you could have. But it's more work for that. And it seemed like the college kid who was traveling and didn't have room to store them would not have had the time it would have been impractical for this person to sell them all on eBay at this point in their life. Like maybe a year and a half ago, they could have done that and it would have been more feasible. But at this point, this kid finally was like, hey, kid's probably in his 20s, in their 20s. I don't know their gender, so their 20s. So at this point, it's like, yeah, I'm moving around, traveling. I'm in college. I don't have the room. I could use the money. I want to buy a Nintendo Switch 2, and this will help me do that. And so they bought their Nintendo Switch 2. I think they said they bought a couple games with the money. So I don't know if they walked away with any money or if they just put that money right back into the store by buying the other things, which, look, if that's what you want to do, like if I was selling a bunch of stuff and I wanted to go buy a PS5 or whatever, or if I wanted to buy a Switch, then the money, like if I sold some stuff to GameStop and got enough money to buy the thing I wanted, I'll just buy the thing I wanted. If that's the goal, so this person had two goals: get rid of the amiibos because they're taking up space that I need, right? And I'm tired of carrying these things around. And I can get a Nintendo Switch 2, which I want, and now I can just buy it. So now I get rid of all my stuff, I clear out the room, and I have my new console is reserved for me to pick up on June 5th, right? It's still coming out June 5th. So I like this. So again, like not every sale is meant to make the most money. Like a person, like if you're a business, obviously you want to make the most money. But like if you're just a person selling stuff, the goal is not always to make the most money. The goal sometimes is to just get rid of the stuff. Like when you have a yard sale, you're going to be like, oh, I have this for a while and I bought it for whatever. And somebody says, I'll give you $3 for it. And you go, yeah, sure. because the goal is not to make a bunch of money. That's a fun bonus. But generally, the point of having the yard sale, or the point of selling all your stuff to GameStop, is to get rid of it. And if they're like, sure, GameStop is like, they could have probably given the kid a bit more money, but okay, let me think about this. The most devious thing that GameStop could have done is said to this person, hey, we'll take all these, and in exchange, you can have a Nintendo Switch 2, you can reserve your pre-order, and one game, which the total cost of that would have been like $600. And so if you think of it that way, is that the most cheapskate move they could have pulled was just exchanging hundreds of amiibo figurines for one Nintendo Switch 2 console and like one game, and that's it, instead of actually paying out $1,340. So really, GameStop did more than I thought they would, because that is definitely a move GameStop would do. If anybody has never dealt with GameStop in their life, then you understand that absolutely, if you bring in something that has a little bit of value, and they can resell those amiibo figurines, so they do have some value for the store. But if they turn around and say, all right, we'll take these, and you can exchange, for your Switch 2 pre-order in one game, which the total retail value would be like $600, but instead they give you more than double that. So, yeah, sometimes it's better to just get rid of the stuff, right? It's better to the goal was, I need to get rid of this. The second goal was, I would like to have a Nintendo Switch 2 console. I just did both in one place. So yeah, you could have made more money on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or wherever. You could have done that. But that's more work to do on top of waiting for the money to come in and waiting to get the stuff out of your house, which you don't have room in to store the stuff anyway. So instead, you got yourself down to GameStop and said, here you go. How much can I get for all these? And the person, whoever, or I assume more than one person helped with this, said, okay, let's tally them up. There you go. And however they determined the price, I would say give him an even $1,400. Make it better on him. But anyway, because what is $60 to GameStop, right? What can you buy at GameStop for $60? Not much anymore, right? Anyway, so yeah, I like this story because it was weird though. I learned about it from GameStop posting about it. And it was really weird how they were painting themselves like, oh, we helped this kid do this. Like, yeah, you did, but also you probably shortchanged him. But what got me was all the people who were like, oh, you could have made more money. And it's like, yeah, but that wasn't like the goal wasn't, I'm going to make as much money as possible from selling these amiibos. The goal was, I need the room and I need the room now. And also I'd like a Nintendo Switch 2, please. Where can I go and do both of those things at the same time? Oh my goodness, GameStop. And there you go. So for the first time in a while, maybe ever, I will praise GameStop for at least being the option for this person to achieve two of their goals. Could they have given them more money? Of course. But that's not how capitalism works, everybody, okay? You don't always get the most money from the corporation. In fact, you usually don't. But in this case, I think the kid won here because you don't have the room. You wanted to get rid of him. You wanted some money. Maybe they walked out with a little profit. Maybe they went and bought lunch afterwards. But you got your Nintendo Switch 2 and some other stuff, whatever that was. And so everybody won in this case. So if you buy that kid's amiibos, have fun, good luck. And somebody tell me what these things do for these games, because I really don't know. Again, I bought them because they looked cool. I have Ganondorf, Squirtle, and Samus. And I bought them mostly because they looked cool, and I like to have things on display. But I don't know exactly what these specific ones do. So there you go. All right. That was fun. See, we connected kind of to video game things. We talked about your video game recommendations for people who don't play games, which was fun. Thank you all again for your answers. And then this story of this person getting some money and getting to achieve two goals of theirs in one place, at a steep discount, I suppose. But hey, listen, when you're in a pinch and you can handle both things at one spot, you're going to go do that, because the goal is not, I'm going to go make $10,000. The goal is, I need this stuff out. And also, I want a new console. There you go. Now we handled both. So that is that. So yeah, could they make more money? Probably. But sometimes the convenience is better than the overall total. So there you go. Let's take a break. We will come back and talk about AI chatbots, because somebody brought this up to me recently, and I've been thinking about it. So I want to talk it out with you, if you don't mind. We'll be right back.
Yo, what up? It's Smitty from Perena, and you're listening to The Melting Pat.
Thank you, Smitty. We are back. We're back, dude. And I wanted to talk about, I know I've talked about AI a lot on this show lately, and I feel like I'm better for it because I'm not talking about, gloom and doom kind of, but it's just interesting to me how many tasks people now want to use generative AI, if that's the right way to phrase that, to do. And I'm not going to make a blanket statement saying, all AI is bad, because I listened to the podcast, and one of their correspondents, she's lost her voice. And so they use 11 Labs to create, I think what they did is created a sound-alike using previous clips of her voice from the show. Or she, someone found old stuff for her. And so they kind of recreated her voice with AI, which is really cool. So if you don't have the ability to do something yourself, and AI, you can use AI as a tool to handle that business for you and still get the information that you want disseminated out to the people. If you could still get that done using technology, yes, that's what it's for. That's what it should be for. Not to randomly try to replace people. Anyway, all right, we're not going to go down there. I'm not going to go down the big hole. Hole. Sorry. We're not going down that rabbit hole. But somebody asked me about this recently, that if I was going to use a chatbot, create a chatbot from my show. And my first answer was no, because chatbots are, in my experience, especially chatbots for customer support, are utterly useless. And I don't like having to deal with them when I have a question, because I want to talk to a person, because the AI bot is not going to help. And it rarely ever does. Maybe one out of every dozen times. Going 1 for 12 is not good. It's not good. So I don't. My first answer was no. And then I looked into it a little bit more, because someone asks. So when someone asks me a question for the show, I do the best I can to research that answer before I give it to you. Because if you took the time to ask me a question, it means you want a real answer. Or if you want me to just make something up, I can do that too. But for this, I looked into it about creating, I'm sorry you can hear my chair, creating a chatbot based on my show. And what I found was that I could upload my episodes, or not even upload individual episodes, but share paste the RSS feed, which basically means that every time I post a new episode of the show to wherever you listen to your shows, is the AI bot, the AI software would then pull from that episode to have answers to questions. And what it would do, I think it would create a transcript, I guess in the background. And so then if you asked a question like, hey, is a hot dog a sandwich? And it could pull from all of the 40-some episodes where I asked that question. And it would give the answers in, I don't know if it would give the answers in my voice, right, my written voice. But from what I understand, a chatbot for a podcast would basically be able to, if you had a question about the show, and I feel like this is meant more for bigger shows where the people aren't, the hosts or creators are not reading the messages. Whereas if you send me a message on SpeakPipe, I'm listening to it. Or if you send me a message through the contact form, or on Facebook or Instagram, or I almost said Threads, but there's no messaging on Threads. Or if you send me a message through the Google Voice number, 209-867-7638, if you send me messages through any of those platforms, I think that's all of them, I read them. It's me. I read them and I respond, because I don't have a massive following and I don't have 6,000 people a day sending me messages about this and that. That would honestly be overwhelming. But having that many listeners would rule, I think. But it's also, like I said, not something I'm working to get to. So I feel like it's meant more creating an AI chatbot sounds pretty cool, right? It sounds cool. You could go and you could, because then I don't have recall of everything I ever talked about, which I guess, sorry about that. But if you had a question like, hey, did Pat ever talk about this? Or can you tell me about this? And if I talked about it on the show and you asked the AI chatbot, it would then comb through all 500 now 30 episodes of the show and be able to spit something back at you based on what is in the show. And so like that is pretty cool. So it's not pulling from my understanding about this. And it's all, I did a lot of reading about this, so I don't, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I read more than a headline. How's that? And so it's not like ChatGPT where you say, hey, is a hot dog a sandwich? And you're getting information from all over the internet. It's, if you're asking the Melting Pat chatbot, the Patbot, if you will, say, hey, is a hot dog a sandwich? It's pulling from the 40 or so odd episodes where I brought up that topic. And so it's pulling from a narrower, or from a smaller box, basically. It's not pulling from every which way on the internet. It is pulling, milking the cows for you, Kenny. It is, it's a joke for two of you. It is pulling from a smaller box, like it's opening a box in the closet and not pulling from every room in the house. Does that make sense? So I think in that regard, I think it's pretty cool. Like an AI chatbot for a podcast seems like a cool thing. However, we talked about this a few months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't remember when exactly we did it. See, this is when I would like to have a chatbot to tell me this, about cloning your voice with AI. Now, I mentioned at the top of this segment that there is a reporter who corresponds with the podcast I listen to. They were able to upload the person's voice and have a realistic facsimile on the podcast, because this person still can do the work and disseminate the information, but they cannot convey it with their voice anymore. And so using the technology to do that is like, okay, you're still getting this person's work and it still sounds like them. So that's really cool given the circumstances. So I mean, look, if I ever need, God forbid I ever need something like that, then I would consider this. But my concern for uploading my voice to a server was, it wasn't like, oh, cool, now I can, I mean, the first thing was it's really cool because I can type in a script for the show and have quote unquote me do the show in case I get sick or something like that and I can't talk or whatever, I don't have time, I can have me do the show. But it was really fun when I got sick at the beginning. Well, it wasn't fun being sick at the beginning of the year, but it was fun to have people step in and fill in for me on the show. That was really fun for, I hope, them to do, and it was fun for me to put that together. So thank you, everyone, by the way, from several months ago who filled in for me on the show. And I will probably need you again at some point in the near and or distant futures. So keep your notifications on, I guess. So like that part would be cool. Like it would be cool to be able to go, okay, here's what I want to talk about this week. And, or like even just the segment. Like, here's the thing I want to talk about. Let's have robot me read it out. And I think that'd be really cool. But then I thought, and I mentioned this on the show, who else has that information? And that's the part that stopped me from using a voice cloning thing. Because if it just lives on this website server and only I can use it, fine. And I guess if I was more software savvy, I could figure out how to do this myself, but I'm not, and I don't have time to figure that out. If you are, though, if you are savvy enough to create a sound-alike of my voice based on clips that I could send you, that would be badass, and then it just lives kind of on a as private as can be server, and that would be really fun. So let me know if you're a super tech person, let me know. But yeah, my concern was who else has that. I feel like a chat, I just don't, I don't know, man. It feels weird to me to upload my voice to a chatbot server because then I don't really know, because then I lose control, right? And I guess, Pat, anybody could download your show and, post your things everywhere or do it. But, and you could do that. I'd rather you didn't. But I guess the only thing stopping you is a moral compass. So I just don't, I guess, I don't know, is that legal? If I upload someone else's voice to the AI thing, am I going to get in trouble? How would they know? How would the person know? Like if I found a friend, I'm not going to mention any friends, but if I found voice clips of a friend on the internet and I joined this AI chatbot service, whatever the site would be, and I uploaded their voice to clone their voice, unless I played it on the show and they listen, how would they know I did it? That's my question. But anyway, we're getting off track. the chatbot thing would be cool, but I feel like it's meant for bigger shows where the people doing the show do not have time to answer messages. I do. I mean, I don't have all the time in the world, but I have time enough to answer your questions, or I just put them on the show. And so, I don't know. It's cool, but I don't think it's for me. I will think about it. If there's a free demo, I'll think about it. But again, I would have to look into. I didn't look that far enough to answer this question, but I would have to know who else then would have access to use my voice for the thing. Like who else? Like could someone else somehow get into that server, get that information, and use my chatbot for their own thing? Like could make my chatbot a part of their thing. So I guess that's where my trepidation comes in. I don't know. I just don't feel like it makes me a little uncomfortable to upload my voice to AI, even though, my voice is available and has been available on the internet since, 2015, at least on the show. Go back to 2011 for the radio show and go back to 2008 for the college shows. So it's not that I'm not you can find, I can't even figure this out. You can find my voice on the internet and you could probably do this yourself. I'd rather you did not do that because I'm unsure of who else then would have it and be able to make me sound completely opposite of what I would sound like, morally, ethically, reasonably, things like that. So I think an AI chatbot would be a cool idea for the show. I think it'd be neat. If only for the fact that the AI bot version of me, the Patbot, would have all of the information at its disposal when I don't. So if you ask a question about something I talked about years ago, and maybe I've even forgotten that I talked about it, then the Patbot would be able to go, oh yeah, they talked about this and here's where it was and all that. So it's a neat idea. I would have to look into who else has that information, like who else would be able to use my show for their thing before I did it. But it's something I would look into that before I looked into voice cloning. Because yeah, I just like the voice cloning thing just makes me a little uneasy unless I know that it's going to be on like a private thing where no one else could use my voice unless I gave them permission. And from what I researched at the time, I didn't see that as a hard clause in their terms. And so, yeah, so the voice cloning is out for now unless I can find a way to keep it super private, but I would not rule out the chatbot. Let me look up how easy it would be, if possible at all, for someone else to use my stuff for their thing. And if not, maybe I'll do this. I will think about this. And then, you can chat with the Patbot and see what goes on. Anything? No, is that anything? Is this anything? Look, it's been like 14 minutes. Have I answered your question about would I use an AI chatbot? Do you think I should do this, by the way? Does anybody know? Does anybody have an answer to that? Do you think that okay? Because people ask me about doing video for the show all the time. And my answer is, no, I'm not going to do it. 1, I don't have time. 2, I did it in 2020 and asked my listeners if anybody cared that I'm doing this. And they all said, no, we listen while doing other stuff. So I stopped doing video. So if I made an AI Patbot, there you go, an AI Patbot for you to chat with, would you use it? Let me know. If you would use it, I will consider it. If you're not going to use it, then I'll drop this and never talk about it again. But I am, because that's really what it is. If it's something, like it might be fun for me, but if no one's going to use it, I'm not going to spend the time to create it, right? So let me know if it's something you would do or you would interact with, or if you just want to message me. Not enough of you message me, I guess, to make it an easy decision, but which really is a good thing because I don't have time to answer 78 messages a day. But anyway, yeah. So would I try it? I would think about it. I would have to really dive in and make sure that nobody else could use my Patbot for their own things. But other than that, I would consider it. So there you go. Does that answer your question? Would I use an AI chatbot for my show? Maybe. I'd have to dig more. But we got 15 minutes out of it regardless. So there you go. Thank you for the question. We're going to do, we got another question about wrestling. And it was if specifically WWE should have an off season. And that's something that I am, we've talked about it over the years on this show and on many other shows that I've done. And so I'm excited that someone asked it, so I didn't need a reason to bring it up. So we'll talk about that right after this.
Hey there, this is Dave Houligard from 12 Days in June, and you're listening to The Melting Pat. Crap open a cold one.
Alrighty, thank you, Dave. You know we're talking about wrestling because we used Dave's bumper. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. And also thanks for your answer to the question. So, speaking of questions, if you don't like wrestling, by the way, this segment is not for you. But someone asked me about a potential off-season idea for WWE. Now, I was going to go and talk about pro wrestling, like AEW also could do this. But as we've discussed on the Kentucky Beaver Slap side stream, it comes up often where sometimes you'll see a certain wrestler on TV and go, oh, wow, that person, great. We haven't seen them in a while. And you'll see them for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll disappear for months at a time. And so the way that, let me say it this way, the way that people are cycled in and out of TV on AEW, or the way it seems, is that you wouldn't need to have an off season to give everybody time off because people get time off throughout the year through things they have to do or like they're just not booked or whatever. So it seems like it happens more often in AEW than WWE. How about that? Let's put that line there. So this is if WWE was going to have an off season, and this is something that I have talked about on every show that I've done. I don't know. I'm sure I've mentioned it during one of the many wrestling conversations we've had over the last 9 years here, but we definitely talked about it on some wrestling show on WDSR way back in the day. I for sure talked about it on the radio show of this, the radio show version of this podcast. And I'm certain I've written about it too, but I want to thank whoever wrote this in, Jimmy from Mayfair, so I didn't have to bring it up. Because even if I want to bring something up, it feels weird, right, to me. And so it's more fun when you ask the question, you ask me what I think about something so that I have a reason to talk about it. And that's more fun for me. So, yeah, hey, Pat, what do you think about WWE having a sort of off-season? And first I want to, because the term off-season implies that it's several months. Because if you think of it like a sport, like, baseball, football, whatever, the offseason, let's say in the NFL, the offseason goes from February after the Super Bowl to August. And so I don't think that having a 6-month layoff of nothing would do WWE any good. And I certainly don't think, unless they absolutely had to. I mean, listen, everything was shut down and no fans could come anywhere and people couldn't really gather. And they still did shows, as we talked about a few weeks ago, they still did shows throughout the pandemic when people couldn't do stuff. And so they figured out a way to do that. But I don't think they would just shut down for months at a time. So I think the word off-season here is misleading, but I can't think of a better word. So I would like if they did a bit of a reset. So usually what they do, and they used to market WrestleMania as, the end of the year, or like everything starts again after this. And so it used to be, or maybe I'm just conflating a couple things, but so let's, all right, let's say it this way. In my opinion, WrestleMania, as their biggest show of the year, should be the last stop. Everything after WrestleMania, oh no, here we go. So back in the day on the N64, there was on WrestleMania 2000, is the name of the game, and there was a Road to WrestleMania mode, which was a single player campaign. Basically, you start in April, the first week of April, and then you go all the way through to WrestleMania in March. So it goes from first week of April to the fourth week of March. And so that was the calendar. It goes from right after WrestleMania to WrestleMania, and that's it. And so WrestleMania was, and in my opinion should still be, the end of the calendar for anything going on. So all the feuds that are happening, all the programs that guys and girls and days are going through, they should all end. Like, there should be no continuation of a feud after WrestleMania, because if there is, you didn't do your job for WrestleMania, because it means that you either started the build just to get another match on WrestleMania, and then you need to do more because the feud, that program between those two people or four people, whoever, didn't end, which means you didn't do a good job booking it for WrestleMania. Especially now that there are 2 nights, there's no reason why you should have a lazily booked, thrown together match for WrestleMania. Everything on that card for both nights should have build. So there you go. Let's put that out there. So WrestleMania should be the end. And after WrestleMania, everything should reset. So here's how I would do it. So you still have the Raw after WrestleMania because that's become a thing. And so like people are in town for WrestleMania from all over the world. They go to that Raw to go have fun and do whatever they're going to do. So you still do that and you have a chance to celebrate the big moments from WrestleMania. And so, if somebody wins a world title, then they celebrate that with those fans, right? So they celebrate that moment. And then you wrap up anything that needs to be, like, hey, all right, we handled our business. I took care of business. Now we're going to do something else, right? And I know it sounds dumb, but it's wrestling and you're allowed to sound dumb as long as the story makes sense. So you still have the Raw after WrestleMania. Celebrate big wins. Go, oh man, I lost. Don't worry, I'll be back. Or, oh, I got screwed and we're going to figure this out or whatever. Basically, it ends, the end of the calendar is WrestleMania. And then you start over and build for next WrestleMania. What you could do then if you want to have the matches on the card, because you should now that Raw is 3 hours and it's a lot of weekly TV to fill, which is making this kind of tough. Back in the day when we talked about this, Raw was 2 hours, SmackDown was 2 hours, NXT didn't exist. And so it was 4 hours of TV. Now it's 6, or if you count NXT, 8 every week. And so it's kind of rough. So I'm glad I don't have to really make this decision, but if I was booking it, this is how I would try to do it. So you still have the Raw after WrestleMania. You can have matches with people who weren't on WrestleMania on that Raw because you still have the raucous WrestleMania crowd because a lot of people who go to WrestleMania also go to that Raw. So you can still have them in front of the same type of fans and still give those people a good show while also saying, hey, okay, this is kind of the end of the road here. So officially, unofficially, the Raw after WrestleMania is the end of the road. And so then you announce the draft because every year they do a draft pretty much every year they kind of do a draft where everybody just gets moved around, which seems weird to call it a draft when you draft your own roster, but it's a chance to move everybody around and get some fresh stories and get some people away from certain other people and like, nope, you're going to go do this because you dealt with this person for 6 months or 5 months, whatever, and now you're going to go do this other thing on the other show. They have a big enough roster where it makes sense. So let's do that. So you announce the draft on that Raw. Say, oh, by the way, we're going to have the draft next week, Raw and SmackDown. We're going to do the draft. And so that's a week later. So then SmackDown that Friday is you have what I'll call a War Room special. And so you can have your matches where, so let's say, okay, 3 hours is the whole show. I'm going to give an hour to do, or let's say an hour and a half to do the best of the previous year. So if you want to show some older matches and just go, okay, you know what, maybe you could do 2 hours of that, I guess. I don't know. It depends how long the matches are. But because they used to do back in the day, like several months after WrestleMania, they would air it like an edited version, a condensed version on NBC on like a Saturday night. And so this is kind of similar, except you're going through like, hey, it's a best of the year. Like they do it at the end of the year, but I feel like if you put it after WrestleMania, you are then acknowledging that their calendar is WrestleMania to WrestleMania. And so the best of period is in that time, not in the calendar year. So let's say we split this show up into what I'll call a War Room special where the GMs, the general managers of each brand, are going over who they want to pick. And I get the matches on this episode would be people trying to raise their stock. And so it's a couple of main event guys going, hey, like people who maybe, I was going to say maybe people who weren't on WrestleMania, but Raw kind of had that already. But I think you could still do it, right? So the general managers are like, hey, we're looking to see who to draft. And then you have people going, hey, you should pick me. And so like a top person, like a main eventer would go, you should definitely pick me and I'll go show you why. Or somebody else goes, hey, I'll challenge whoever. And this is why you should draft me to your show. And so you're already setting up stories for the draft the show before, because now you're like, okay, the GM's going to be watching. And so the matches have stakes. They matter because then, okay, you win, you get drafted. Now you're like, okay, the GM has their eye on you and you can make your way up the card and say, hey, you deserve to be in the main event because you went out and showed me something. And so that is kind of the first half of the show. And the next half of the show is a best of the previous year, or you do it backwards. You do a best of the previous year, And then you go, oh, hey, by the way, we're having a draft. So let's see where the GMs are. And then they're making matches to try to, or the wrestlers themselves are coming in and saying, hey, I want a match. I want to show you what I can do. And so that's the next half of the show. Maybe do it that way. Do the best of first and then go, okay, now the calendar is flipped. We are moving on to next year. And if you don't need to be on that show, which you might not, then you get off from after WrestleMania and you don't have to go to the draft. You can, but like you don't have to be there to be selected. So really you could have 2 weeks off as a performer, which I know it's not great. Like when I first had this idea, everything was more spread out. And then I realized that there are 6 hours a week at least of TV to fill. And it got really tough. And again, I'm so glad I don't have to make this decision. But so everybody can at least, well, anybody who really wants it can have a week or more off after WrestleMania, go see family, go see a doctor, just rest, get some nagging injuries, kind of let them rest and try to heal a little bit. And then you start your promotion for the next pay-per-view, which I think, premium live event. I know people on the internet are very particular about that. So people get some time off and you do the draft next Raw, next SmackDown. So 2 episodes. So basically a full week of the draft. And then the matches are, okay, if you win, if this guy wins, Raw gets a pick. And if that guy wins, SmackDown gets a pick. Or like this guy versus this guy and the winner gets 2 picks, whatever it is. So you do that the same way, sort of. And then you make all the picks on TV. You build for the next big show after that. And so I think this would either eliminate or push back the calendar for the premium live events, because Backlash is this weekend. And so eliminate that so then they don't have to work a Saturday or a Sunday, so they can recharge a little bit more. And then you're building for the next big show from the draft using the new rosters. Because now what they do is they'll do the draft and go, okay, it takes effect after this next big show. And so you're building the current rosters for the next event while also saying, hey, these people are moving shows. And it's in a weird, like, in-between spot. So if you eliminate that show, everybody gets time off to kind of recharge and rest, and you have now completely shifted the focus from WrestleMania to the next big show. Because now WrestleMania is in the rear view, we're done, the calendar is flipping, we're over that, and now here we are into the next thing. And so we don't have it's a WrestleMania recall match, which is dumb because you just had this on WrestleMania. Why are we doing it a month later? Doesn't make sense. And then the next big event features all new, whatever it is, in either at the end of May or in June, features all new stories with all new, fresh matchups. Because now it's like, okay, the feuds from WrestleMania are over. Now we've done the draft. Everybody got some time off. We did some interesting stuff. And now we are starting new things and new programs for our next calendar year. So that's how I would do it. I know it's a little messy because it's a lot of TV to fill. And I don't know, I guess because when I watch, I don't get to watch things live. And so I watch the weekly shows at 1.5 and 2 times speed, respectively, because that's what Netflix and YouTube TV offers. And so, I don't get to watch them as they air. So I guess I forgot that there are 6 hours of TV to fill now. And they're not going to go back from that because they're not going to miss out on, I guess with Netflix, they can be as long as they want for Raw, long or short. But let's say for the sake of this conversation that it's 6 hours of TV. But for SmackDown, they have the third hour, which means they're getting another hour of advertising revenue, and they're not going to go back on that. From a business standpoint, it makes sense to not go back on that. As a fan, I prefer 2 hours, but that's me. So yeah, it was a little tough to really whittle this down or to really kind of flesh this out when I remembered there are 6 hours of TV and not 5 or 4. So yeah, it's a little messy. But yeah, I would have you still do Raw after WrestleMania, kind of the same way. You either do then a best of Raw from the previous year, and you also announce the draft. And then SmackDown is best of SmackDown previous year. Let's do it that way. Best of SmackDown from the previous year. And a War Room special where the GMs have guys and girls compete to curry favor with the GM ahead of the draft. The draft is the next Raw and SmackDown, and then you start building from there to the next event, which probably will have to be at least at the end of May, or just cancel the May event and do a show in June. So then the show in June really is the first one from using the same calendar. Like if WrestleMania is late in the year like it was this year, then that next show is all the new stories using the newly drafted rosters, and you do it that way. Sound good? Does that make sense? Too long didn't listen version right there. But thank you for the question, whoever asked it. I love talking about this stuff, as you can tell, and I've really thought about this for a long time. So the only thing that threw me off, again, was the increase in the number of hours of TV, because I don't watch live, I watch it sped up so I can get all the information and be able to be caught up for the big shows, let's say. And so I kind of forgot there was so much TV to use. But I still think this works. Let me know. If you think I'm off on this, let me know. If you think this is a good idea, sorry, I had to cough. Let me know that too. If it's good, bad, ugly, whatever. If you have any changes you could make, we can present this to the board. I don't know. This would never happen. But let me know where I can tweak this plan and make it really better as a fan. I'm looking at it as a fan, and I would enjoy seeing something like this instead of, WrestleMania recall and having feuds continue after WrestleMania, when that, for years, they told us, is the end of the calendar. And for so many years now, it hasn't been. And so this is a way to rectify that and still put on compelling television and still be able to put out some good shows that we can all enjoy. Right? No? All right, we'll take one more break and then we'll go. I love you. And if you're not a wrestling fan and you stuck around, God bless you. You're the best. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Will from Full Blown Meltdown, and you're listening to The Melting Pat.
And there we have it. Thank you, Will. Thank you very much, my friend. I love hearing from you. Even that little bit. We have not had Will on the show. Will, if you listen, come on the show. Release another song, and then come on the show. All right? Thanks, man. Thanks very much. All right, so that's it. We made it to the end of the show. I feel like we've been here for a long time. And it's today's one of those episodes where I remember getting a comment years ago where maybe Josh was on, or I got it right when Josh was on the show and I read it to him and we laughed about it, where someone said that I talked too much. I don't know if they said the show was too long, but they said I talked too much. And I was like, all right, that's weird. And Josh goes, that's the point of a podcast. So yeah, apparently I talk too much and I take too long. Maybe their issue with me was that I was too verbose, right? That's a smart way to say long-winded. Smart way to say I don't get to the damn point. Maybe that's it. So maybe that was their problem. But I always think about that whenever I have a longer show, and I don't know because I've recorded in pieces during work stuff or during breaks at work, and so I don't know if the show is a full hour yet or more or longer. But this one feels like it's more than an hour. So whenever I get that feeling like, man, there's a lot of stuff on this show, I think back to that comment where somebody said that I talk too much. And I really like, what else are you doing? Like, why else are you coming to a podcast? I don't know. It's again, this is like 10 years ago somebody said this. No, we haven't been doing this that long. Have we? Wait a minute. No. Not yet. It'll be 10 years in September. So this was like 8 or 9 years ago where somebody said I talk too much. Yeah, so this is for you. This ending segment is for you, that I'm remembering this again and saying more things that I don't need to say to end the show. But there you go. That's it, though. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to Glimmers for the tune, Little Life. Go get it where you get your things. Go catch them on tour. Tell them I said hi. Thanks to everybody who answered the question. I'm sorry that I didn't do as much research as I thought, although I still did. I looked into a lot more games than I normally do. Like, I've looked into a lot more stuff than I normally did. So you're welcome, I guess. I don't know. That's also causing a delay with editing, and it's going to be... it's over already. So let me say it was a lot. And maybe I do talk you know what? Maybe that person's right. Maybe I do talk too much. Maybe that's it. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Let me know if you want me to use an AI Patbot that you can chat with. Let me know about that. If you want me to try the voice cloning thing, if we can find out, we did talk about it a lot today, but if we can find out if that's a private thing or if anybody can just use that. If anybody can use it, we're not doing it. But if it can be kind of local to me or local to one server, then I feel a bit more at ease there. But maybe I won't even do that. But anyway, an AI Patbot, if that's something you want me to do, let me know, and I will consider it. I'll look into it. And if I missed any games, let me know. Any games for non-gamers. If I missed any of those, let me know too, so we can talk about that. Okay? Okay, and the off season for WWE. If I'm off base on any of that, let me know. Or if you want to make a pitch and go up to Stanford and figure out what's going on, maybe send that to them. They won't do it because it would cost them money in the short term, and they won't want to do that probably because they're a business and that's how businesses work. But that's why I'm not a business. But let me know. Maybe that's the thing we could do. Yeah, let me know about your Patbot. I guess that's the title of this episode because I say let me know a lot. I say let me know, and there you go, and that's fair. Those are my three. Like if I had, I guess if we had the Patbot, we would know. What are some transitional phrases? What are some vocal tics that Pat uses? It's that's fair. There you go. And let me know. I think those are the top three, like things I don't say on purpose, things that just kind of spew out as I'm trying to finish up a thought. So there you go. No G Love today. Cause when we stick around for a while, we kind of let G Love rest. Not that it matters to him or them or whoever, but anyway, that's all. But check out G Love and Special Sauce at Philadelphonic.com anyway. Find more from Glimmers at glimmersband.com. Find more from me at themeltingpat.com. Sign up for the Patreon, the newsletter, other things that you want to do. You can leave me a message and let me know how you feel about everything that I've talked about. And we'll play it on the show. I'll take your feedback under consideration, under advisement, into consideration, and we'll go from there. Okay? That's it. This has been an 8 Boylan production. Until next time, my friends, have fun. Be safe. Thank a veteran. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Get vaccinated and boosted when you can. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. We screwed it up again. It's fine. I love you. We'll talk soon. You've been inside the melting pot. That sounds so defeated. Let's try that again. I love you. Thank you for being here. We will talk soon. I hope. Come back whenever you want, whenever you can. Just slide right in. We'll have some fun. Oh, gross. We'll have some fun.
That's what she said. Woo!
And we'll do the thing. All right? Thanks, Bender. Let's wrap this up, shall we? Yes, please. You've been inside the melting pot. Take care. Have fun. I love you. Go crap open a cold one.
Clip.